But what is wrong and perhaps needed some level of disclosure was that his brother was a director in that particular company. The PMO, which normally does not reply to any letters, and with great alacrity forwards that letter to the screening committee on 6th February 2008. And on 7th February or 6th February itself, that allotment letter was actually given. But what is not known is that the allotment actually happened in September 2007. And that allotment was given to two people. This policy is, if you read the policy document of Coal, Income Tax Act is so clear. If you read the policy on FDI, which they have released day before, Coal policy is very clear. I do not know what these buffoons are writing. Every sentence is so complicated and capable of being interpreted, misinterpreted, twisted. Let me give this. They allot a particular coal block and then they say, I will allot it to two people. I will also give you the sharing ratio and you allot between these two. Supposing it is like saying an arranged marriage between two corporates by coal ministry. So one fellow says, I want coal at the rate of 50-50. The other fellow says, no, I want 62%. The other fellow is entitled to only 38%. So they go to court, and in the court there is a huge case going on. Meanwhile, to expedite 50-50 ratio in favor of SKS, the minister writes a letter. Otherwise, it would have been 50-50. Otherwise, he wants it actually 60-38 in favor of his brother's company. This also, I don't think so. Something is wrong. Because you have got some facts, and if you think these facts are genuine, you can write to the Prime Minister with one sentence. However, Prime Minister, please note that my brother is a director in this company. This is for your information. There is no, if this had happened in a public limited company, immediately we would have said corporate governance is actually diluted in this company. This is a tamasha out there. How can this happen? What nonsense is this? You are not supposed to do this. If it had happened to a chartered accountant who is auditing his brother's company, people would ask so many questions. But a minister who right royally writes, and the Prime Minister is so innocent, he is the modern version of Rishi Shringa, that he does not know who writes, and he comes out and says, oh, this is letter, you please forward. And the coal is allocated in the basis of 62-38 in favor of SKS. PIL, which is the other allotee, goes to the court. He is roundly thrashed by the Delhi High Court. You agree for a joint venture, you go and agree for 62-38 with the coal ministry. Now you come here to the court and they charge 2,50,000 rupees as damages. But this is what Kapil Sibal goes on talking in CNN and IBN without telling an important fact that the division bench of Delhi High Court had stayed this judgment. Division bench of Delhi High Court has got a different view on this matter. This matter is being heard. Several hearings are going on. One more hearing will happen in the month of October, I am told. And I have gone through the entire case history. They are having a different view. What the court will decide, let them decide. But here, somebody gets coal on the basis of his proximity of his close relative being a minister. Now let us take another. This is as regard as private sector. Now 142 coal blocks, out of which 75 has been allocated to public sector, 67 to the private sector. SKS is a private sector. Now let me come to one of the public sector. PIPDIC. PIPDIC, just go to the website of PIPDIC. It says, we are a financial institution arranging term loans, equity, funding for entrepreneurs in Pondicherry. Suddenly it gets cold. Memorandum of Association of PIPDIC does not allow it to get coal. That one politician got self-allotted to coal is not the problem. I am not into that issue at all. I am into a larger issue. How could PIPDIC get coal in the first place? So this is not a scam that is limited only to private sector, it is also a public sector. Because once the public sector got it, it suballots it to a private sector. If you will see the sequence, you will be amazed. The company to whom it allots, JR Power Gen, which is one of whose son, the director is a son of a prominent minister in Tamil Nadu. This company was floated on 12th January. On 17th January, it enters into an MOU with PIPDIC for a coal to be allotted in July 2007. That is, coal is not with PIPDIC. But PIPDIC says, I will allot coal to you in January, for which an allotment will follow in the month of July. You go and get a tender form. Immediately the government will ask you, what is your track record? 3 years of balance sheet. Who is your director? All these things will be asked. No questions. Float the company on 12th, get an MOU signed on 17th. Then coal is allotted in July 2007. Which coal? Coal is in Orissa. Coal is not in Pondicherry or in Tamil Nadu. Coal is in Orissa. Then, in October 2007, the coal is transferred by an Pakka arrangement to this particular JR Power Gen. JR Power Gen, in turn, sells 51% of its shares to somebody else, and that flows on. In other words, the original allottee, PIPDIC, does not use coal. The second allottee, JR Power Gen, does not use coal. The third allottee may or may not use coal till May 2012, for which I had documents. That particular coal block has not been exploited. And it is not only that coal block. At least 58 coal blocks for whom allotment has been made. People have been squatting on the coal. They have not mined it. Why they have not mined it? Because they are not in the business of mining. They are in the business of getting an allotment and transferring that allotment to somebody. It is like getting in many of these trains, you will have this unreserved berths, unreserved coaches where the porter will go and get a seat. You pay him 20 rupees, he will vacate it for you. You cannot go and ask him why you have not travelled. Because his business is not to travel, his business is only to get a seat. Now this happens at every station. Everybody knows it. But coal being allotted to this extent and nobody knowing it, and I am amazed that Chambers of Commerce did not know it, our great investigative journalists did not look into it. Competitors also kept quiet, and it required an innocuous CAG report to finally bring these type of things into. And this CAG is being dubbed in so many ways by the ruling party as person who does not understand economics, doesn't understand accounting. Then why did you put him in the place in the first position? I am amazed. Why do you put an incompetent fellow in the first place and then say this fellow is acting incompetently? Now, we have another serious problem. It is not that people did not talk about auctioning coal, or this was not a policy alternative that nobody thought about it in the coal ministry. There were, even today in Government of India, there are some honest people and people who think. And as early as July 16, 2004, the Coal Secretary says in a comprehensive note, competitive bidding for allocation of coal blocks, and he says there is a substantial difference between the price of coal supplied by Coal India and coal produced through captive mining. there is a windfall gain to the person who is allotted captive block. The man makes a note, who? Not any undersecretary, not any Tom, Dick and Harry. It has been done by no less than the Secretary Coal as early as July 2004. Silence. Afterward, another silence. Then you had several allotments going on, and then the matter was referred to the Ministry of Law and Justice. Whenever it is favorable, instantly it is acted. I will give you a parallel example. In 2007 May, on a particular issue regarding Vodafone, the Ministry of Law and Justice had given a particular opinion to FIPB. I am not going into that particular opinion. Good, bad, ugly, leave it aside. It gave an opinion. I have differences with that opinion. But within days it was acted. But when it comes to the same Ministry of Law and Justice suggesting that better go for auction route, and for that you require a particular amendment to the Mineral Act, MMDR Act. Notwithstanding this, through an administrative fiat also you can go through tender, because tender is the normal functioning of a government. Allotment may be an exception. If you look at the business rules of Government of India, which came out in the year 2005, they make it very clear, tendering, auctioning is the way, is the default mode. The reflex mode, I will call it. What is exceptional is allotment. But UPA government makes allotment the rule, tendering the exception. And this is where the problem starts. The problem starts by saying that this is policy. The policy cannot be that I will loot. The policy cannot be that we will openly loot, nobody question, because it is policy. And Supreme Court in this judgment in the year 2012 on this 122 licenses of spectrum came down heavily on the government and said you have to definitely auction it. You have no other way but to auction natural resources. Now what would have happened had the coal been auctioned? The coal would have been auctioned. Then what would have happened? The people who actually put coal, purchased the coal mines through auction, would have then transferred coal on the actual market cost to the people who are actually using the coal, namely the steel industry, cement industry and power industry. But today what has happened? The coal gets transferred free of cost to the power industry. And power industry takes benefit of ATIA and does not pay tax. On one hand, you give them free coal, on the other hand, you also give them benefit under ATIA. I also explained to you how coal gets transferred to a cement industry and how that is also transferred through transfer pricing mechanism to lay roads and get benefit under ATIA. So this is the ATIA, ATIB, these are all very complex sections, and this is how the whole game is manipulated year on year, and yet the government does not know anything, and it says, oh, we cannot deal with this subject, this is a very complex subject, allotment has to be done. And the most horrible argument came from Kapil Sibal. All horrible, he has taken a wholesale contract for horrible argument. Now what does he say? He says, if only we had auctioned coal, coal would have been priced higher, cement would have cost higher, power would have gone higher, steel would have gone higher, we would have gone into a higher inflation rate of 15%. Nonsense argument. Because when you give something free, let us assume you give a land free in Mylapore to me to build a hospital. Immediately conditionalities will be there, that you must ensure 30 patients, outpatients every day, so many beds will be reserved for poor patients, so many conditions will be there. Without condition, nothing is free. If you are going to give a land for school, you will say so many underprivileged students must be taken in by your school. Could you have said that if you take coal free, you give so many million units of power free to the state electricity board?